The monitor observed from beyond the source wall, watching reality tear like parchment beneath a sovereign's pen. Victor Von Doom had sought power beyond his universe, the ultimate formula to protect his beloved Latveria from all threats across infinite timelines. His mystical ritual, fueled by technology that married Stark's genius with Asgardian enchantments, had succeeded beyond intention. The dimensional barrier didn't merely open, it shattered. And so a king fell through the cracks between worlds, landing hard in a universe where gods walked as heroes and tyrants wore capes of hope. Doom's armored form crashed through 3 buildings in Metropolis before his force fields activated, cushioning his impact into the Fountain Plaza at Centennial Park. Water vaporized instantly from the heat of interdimensional transit. His armor, that magnificent fusion of Latverian science and mystical wards, sparked and recalibrated, scanning this new reality with sensors that screamed impossible readings. Gravity, normal. Atmosphere, breathable. Solar radiation, unusual yellow sun frequency. Conclusion, alternate Earth, but the ambient energy signatures. Doom's arcane senses flared warnings. This universe thrummed with chaotic magical forces Marvel's reality had carefully structured. Wild, dangerous, intoxicating. Monarch Protocol, Doom commanded his armor's AI. Establish dimensional coordinates, prepare return vector. The AI responded with failure codes. The rift had collapsed. He was stranded. Doom rose to his full height, metal boots clicking against broken concrete, and surveyed the panicking crowd. Humans fled in terror, as they should. But these people didn't flee with the proper reverence Latverian citizens showed their beloved protector king. They fled with the chaotic terror of those ungoverned, unprotected by a proper ruler. Pathetic. "You will cease your panic," Doom announced, his voice amplified through armor speakers with the commanding timbre that had cowed presidents and heroes alike. "Doom has arrived. You are now under the protection of—" The sonic boom arrived before the hero did. Superman descended from the sky like judgment incarnate, cape billowing crimson, the S-shield on his chest catching sunlight that made him glow with impossible radiance. Doom's sensors immediately began analysis. Humanoid, massive energy signature, solar-powered cellular structure, threat level, recalculating, critical. This was no mere enhanced human. This was something that registered on Doom's mystical senses as divine. "I don't know who you are," Superman said, landing between Doom and the fleeing civilians with casual grace that spoke to absolute confidence. "But you've caused enough destruction. Power down your armor. Let's talk about this." Doom's sensors completed their scan. Kryptonian. His extensive research into alternate realities and alien species provided context. Solar-powered alien with godlike strength, invulnerability, heat vision, flight, weakness, magic and exotic radiation. Personality profile from dimensional readings, disgustingly altruistic. "Doom does not power down at the request of those who presume authority they have not earned," Victor responded, his tone carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "You wear a symbol of hope, Kryptonian, how quaint. Doom requires no symbol. Doom is the symbol." Superman's eyes narrowed. His X-ray vision was already scanning the armor, lead-lined magical wards preventing deeper analysis. Whoever this was, he'd come prepared against Superman's abilities. That meant intelligence, preparation, which made him more dangerous than the average metahuman. "I'm going to give you one more chance," Superman said, his voice carrying that particular tone of warning that made Lex Luthor's scientists evacuate laboratories. "Stand down. We can figure out where you came from and how to help you, but the threats stop now." Doom laughed. Not the cackling madness of lesser villains. This was the genuine amusement of a king observing a child's tantrum. "Help! Help!" Doom's gauntlets crackled with energy as his armor's power cells charged. "Doom requires no assistance from alien pretenders who fancy themselves saviors. Latveria stands eternal because Doom provides perfect protection through perfect rule. Your chaotic heroism is the democracy of fools, allowing the unworthy masses to stumble toward mediocrity." "That's enough." Superman's heat vision flared, a warning shot that vaporized concrete 3 feet from Doom's position. Doom's force field activated instantly, a hexagonal energy barrier rippling into visibility. But Doom's arcane senses detected something else. This Kryptonian's power wasn't just physical. There was a moral weight to him, a symbolic resonance that affected reality itself. This universe responded to hope and despair in ways Marvel's reality didn't. Fascinating and exploitable. You threatened Doom. Victor's hands began weaving mystical patterns, drawing on the chaotic magical energies of this new universe. The spells were different here, more primal, less structured, but Doom adapted within seconds. You know nothing of what approaches. Your sensors don't detect what Doom's magic reveals. And it was true. The dimensional tear that brought Doom here had left traces, echoes of something vast and malevolent that had noticed this universe, noticed this Earth. Something that Doom's mystical expertise recognized as a threat beyond even Galactus. But before Doom could elaborate, 2 more figures arrived. Batman emerged from shadows that shouldn't exist in broad daylight, his cape seeming to drink the sunlight itself. Wonder Woman descended with sword drawn, her divine presence making Doom's mystical wards flare with recognition. This was no mere enhanced human. This was actual divinity made flesh. The Trinity. Doom's dimensional research hadn't prepared him for the sheer presence of these 3 together. "Clark," Batman said quietly, his voice somehow carrying despite the whisper. "Full threat assessment. Armor's lead lined with mystical wards. He's combining technology and magic, unusual combination, not from our Earth. His energy signature matches the dimensional breach at Centennial Park," Wonder Woman added, her warrior's eye analyzing Doom's stance. "He knows combat, trained, confident, arrogant." "Arrogance implies unearned confidence," Doom corrected. "Doom's certainty is justified by unparalleled intellect and absolute mastery of both science and sorcery. You are the Trinity of this world, yes. Doom's interdimensional research revealed your existence. The alien, the detective, and the goddess." Batman's eyes narrowed behind his cowl. "He's been researching our universe. This wasn't an accident." Actually, Doom admitted with casual honesty that surprised them. The dimensional breach was unintended. Doom sought ultimate power to protect Latveria. Instead, Doom discovered your reality and the massive threat that noticed this Earth when Doom tore through dimensions. Superman floated closer, trying to read Doom's body language through the armor. "What threat?" "Something your Trinity cannot face," Doom said, and for the first time, his voice carried something other than arrogance. A note of genuine concern that Batman's detective instincts immediately caught. "Something that exists beyond your new gods, beyond your emotional spectrum constructs." Doom felt its attention turn toward this universe the moment the breach opened. "Darkseid," Wonder Woman breathed, her hand tightening on her sword. "Perhaps," Doom acknowledged, "or something worse. Regardless, your Earth requires protection, and while your methods are flawed, your power," he gestured at Superman, "is considerable." "Let me guess," Batman said, stepping forward. "You want to rule our Earth for its own protection." "What I want is irrelevant to what Earth needs," Doom corrected. "But yes, Doom's rule would ensure survival. Your democracy invites chaos." The standoff held for 3 seconds. Then Superman spoke with that particular combination of Kansas kindness and Kryptonian steel. "Here's what's going to happen. You're coming with us to the Watchtower. We'll verify your story about this threat. We'll find a way to send you home. And you'll do it cooperatively, or we'll do it the hard way." He paused. "And just so you know, I've faced tyrants before. Some of them wore my face." Doom detected the pain in that statement. Dimensional readings suggested an alternate timeline where this very Superman had become a dictator. How deliciously ironic. "Very well," Doom said, his armor powering down slightly. "Doom will cooperate for now. But understand this, Kryptonian, when the true threat reveals itself, your morality will falter, your democracy will fail, and in that moment you will beg for Doom's methods." As they transported him via boom tube to the Watchtower, Victor Von Doom cataloged everything. The mother box technology, inferior to Doom's dimensional understanding but fascinatingly direct. The speed at which Batman had assessed threats. Wonder Woman's divine energy signature, Superman's solar-powered biology. And most importantly, the fundamental truth Doom's genius had already deduced. This universe operated on different principles than Marvel's reality. Symbols had power here. Hope and fear shaped reality. Magic was chaos rather than science. Doom would adapt. Doom would master these principles. And when Darkseid came, because something was definitely coming, Doom's mystical senses screamed warnings. Victor Von Doom would prove what he'd always known. Only through perfect rule could imperfect worlds survive. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you want to see them in down in the comments below. Hope shines brightest in the darkest night. The Watchtower's detention protocols activated around Doom. Energy fields designed to contain Kryptonians, magical barriers sourced from Zatanna's spellwork, technological dampeners that Batman had designed after Tower of Babel. Doom stood calmly in the cell, analyzing every detail, learning, planning. The Trinity watched from the observation deck as Cyborg began his analysis. His armor's technology is decades beyond LexCorp, Victor Stone reported, his mother box integration struggling to interface with Doom's systems. And the magical components. I'm reading wards that Constantine would call disturbingly competent. He knew our names, Batman said quietly. He researched our universe before arriving. That means preparation, planning. Or he's telling the truth about the breach being accidental, Superman countered. Did you hear him when he mentioned the threat? That wasn't a lie. Wonder Woman studied Doom through the transparent aluminum. He carries himself as a king, not a conqueror, a protector king who genuinely believes his rule benefits his subjects. I've seen such rulers in ancient times. Some were tyrants, others were beloved. Which is he? Superman asked. Both, Batman answered. The worst kind of dictator is one who's right just often enough to justify his methods. In his cell, Doom smiled behind his mask. They were already debating his nature rather than simply destroying him. Good. The game had begun. The interrogation room aboard the Watchtower hummed with enough suppression technology to contain a small god. Doom sat with perfect posture in the reinforced chair, arms resting casually despite the power dampeners Batman had personally calibrated. 3 feet of force-fielded space separated him from the Trinity, who stood united in judgment. Yet Doom noted the fractures in their unity. Superman's hope warring with caution. Batman's suspicion battling pragmatism. Wonder Woman's warrior respect conflicts with diplomatic duty. Predictable. Democracy always fractured under pressure. Your armor's power signature matches technology we've only seen from Apocalypse, Batman said, his detective's voice flat and unyielding. Holographic displays surrounded them, showing Doom's energy readings, dimensional breach analysis, and troublingly, gaps where Doom's mystical wards prevented scanning. You claim to be from another universe. Prove it. Doom gestured, and despite the dampeners, a minor illusion manifested. His Latverian castle, rendered in perfect holographic detail through technology, so advanced it bypassed their suppression fields through sheer elegance of design. Latveria, a nation that exists in my reality but not yours. Doom verified this through your internet during transport. The hologram shifted, displaying newspaper headlines and political maps with Latveria absent. In my universe, Doom rules as monarch, protector, and god to his people. They worship Doom not through fear, but through the absolute certainty that Doom's rule provides perfect security. Worship, Superman repeated, and Doom heard the disgust buried beneath Kryptonian politeness. You've made yourself a god to people who deserve freedom. Freedom, Doom's laugh echoed in his mask. The freedom to starve, to suffer, to fall victim to chaos and villainy. Latveria's crime rate 0, poverty eliminated, disease cured through Doom's science. Education, universal. Before Doom's rule, Latveria was a wasteland of suffering under Baron von Strucker's cruelty. Now it is paradise. A gilded cage is still a cage, Wonder Woman said, but her tone carried less certainty than Superman's. Her Amazon upbringing understood warrior kings, even if she'd rejected tyranny for truth. Your Themyscira is ruled by Hippolyta, Doom countered, his research thorough. A queen with absolute authority, yet you call it paradise, not prison. The hypocrisy is illuminating. Wonder Woman's eyes flashed, but Batman interrupted before the philosophical debate derailed the interrogation. Enough. Tell us about the threat you detected. Specifics. Doom leaned forward, and all three heroes tensed despite themselves. Even restrained, Victor Von Doom radiated dangerous competence. When Doom breached dimensions, the barrier between realities thinned. In that moment of weakness, something vast turned its attention toward your universe. Doom's mystical senses, trained by demons and refined through decades of study, detected a consciousness of absolute malevolence. Darkseid was your goddess's guess, perhaps, but Doom sensed something. Older, hungrier. Anti-Monitor, Batman said immediately. We've faced him before. He's contained. Are you certain? Doom asked. Doom's arrival may have weakened whatever prison contains such entities. Or perhaps Doom's breach attracted attention from threats your universe hasn't yet encountered. He paused. In Doom's reality, we face Galactus, a being that devours worlds. We've developed defenses, strategies, and technologies. Your universe likely has equivalent threats. How many have your democracy of heroes successfully prevented versus barely survived? The silence spoke volumes. The injustice timeline, Superman said quietly, and Doom's sensors caught the pain in his voice. You know about that too. Researched thoroughly during the breach, Victor confirmed. An alternate you who established perfect order through absolute control, who eliminated crime, war, and chaos by becoming the dictator of Earth. Doom's tone carried no judgment, only analysis. Your methods were flawed, rage-born rather than reason-built, but the fundamental question haunts you, yes. Could a benevolent dictatorship serve justice better than chaotic freedom? That's enough, Batman said sharply. You're not here to philosophize. You're here because you're a potential threat who? The Watchtower's alarm screamed. Cyborg's holographic form materialized instantly. We've got a situation. Boom tube signature detected in Metropolis. Massive energy readings. It's the viewscreen activated, showing Metropolis's skyline. And standing in the ruins of LexCorp Plaza was a figure that made even Doom's arrogance falter slightly. Darkseid. The Lord of Apocalypse stood 15 feet tall, stone-gray skin carved with the patience of geological ages. Omega symbols glowed in his eyes, the promise of unavoidable death. Behind him, a boom tube vortex swirled, and through it marched parademons by the hundreds. Doom told you, Victor said with infuriating correctness. Your universe has been noticed. Superman was already moving. Wonder Woman with me. Batman coordinate Justice League response. Get Doom back to his cell and… No. Doom stood, and somehow, despite the dampeners and restraints, he radiated authority. You require Doom's expertise. Darkseid is a new god. Technology alone will not suffice. You need magic. You need a genius. You need someone who has faced cosmic threats and won. We've fought Darkseid before, Wonder Woman said, drawing her sword as she prepared to teleport. We'll fight him again. And barely survived each time, Doom observed. While Darkseid grows stronger, learning from each encounter, Doom offers an alternative. Batman's hand hovered over the security console. Every instinct screamed not to trust this dictator, but pragmatism warred with paranoia. If Doom's mystical assessment was accurate, if his technology could help. What alternative? Superman demanded. Release Doom. Provide access to your Watchtower's resources. Doom will analyze Darkseid's energy signature, adapt countermeasures, and provide tactical support that your blunt force heroics cannot match. Doom's tone carried absolute confidence. Doom has defeated gods. In my universe, Doom once stole the Beyonder's power, a being beyond your comprehension. Darkseid is merely a tyrant with delusions of divinity. The answer is no, Batman said flatly. Superman, Wonder Woman, go. I'll coordinate from here with the League. Doom stays contained. But as Superman and Wonder Woman teleported to face Darkseid, as Batman pulled up tactical displays showing parademons tearing through Metropolis, as the Justice League mobilized, Doom simply waited. In Metropolis, the battle was already going poorly. Superman's first punch met Darkseid's palm with a shockwave that shattered windows for 3 blocks. The Man of Steel pushed with everything he had, but Darkseid didn't budge. Kryptonian, Darkseid rumbled, his voice carrying the weight of Apocalypse's volcanic forges. You have grown, predictable. Omega beams erupted from Darkseid's eyes. Superman dodged, too slow. The beams tracked, pursuing with unavoidable precision, and Wonder Woman's bracelets intercepted them, divine metal deflecting the death beams skyward. I stand with you, Cal, she said, spinning her lasso. For Earth. How noble, Darkseid observed. How futile, he gestured, and Parademons swarmed. Not the mindless drones they'd faced before. These moved with tactical precision, hurting the heroes, separating them. Superman incinerated dozens with heat vision, but hundreds more replaced them. Wonder Woman carved through them with godly efficiency, but they kept coming. In the Watchtower, Batman watched with growing dread. Flash had just arrived in Metropolis, vibrating through Parademons, evacuating civilians. Green Lantern's constructs were holding the perimeter. Cyborg was trying to shut down the boom tube, but Darkseid himself stood untouched, studying the heroes with the patience of geological inevitability. Your tactical assessment, Doom's voice said from the containment cell, transmitted through the observation link Batman had foolishly left active. Darkseid is testing you. This is not his full assault. He probes your defenses, learns your responses. By the time he commits his true forces, he will have cataloged every weakness. Batman's jaw clenched. What would you do differently? Doom would strike at Apocalypse simultaneously, Victor answered immediately. Boom tubes operate on dimensional frequency. Doom's armor contains technology that could disrupt the connection, strand Darkseid here, and cut him off from reinforcements. But Doom's armor is currently powered down in your storage bay, and Doom is uselessly imprisoned while your heroes die. On screen, Superman took an Omega beam to the chest. His invulnerability held, but the death energy still hurt. Batman could see the Kryptonian's grimace. Wonder Woman was surrounded, her sword flashing, but even Amazon's stamina had limits. If I release you, Batman said slowly, you'll follow my orders. You'll use your technology to support the Justice League. And the moment this crisis ends, you go back in that cell until we find a way to send you home. Agreed. Doom's laugh held genuine amusement. Doom agrees to help save your Earth. Beyond that, we shall see. It wasn't an agreement, it was barely a promise. But Batman had spent years making terrible choices in the service of the greater good. This was just one more. Alfred, Batman said into his calm, I'm making a terrible mistake. If this goes wrong, initiate Protocol Omega. Understood, sir. Alfred's voice replied with that particular tone of disapproval wrapped in absolute loyalty. Though I feel compelled to note that your terrible mistakes have a concerning success rate. Batman released the containment fields. Doom stood, stretched as though cramped muscles needed relief despite the armor, and walked toward the equipment bay with unhurried dignity. Wise choice, Detective. Doom's assistance will be invaluable, though Doom notes that you said when this crisis ends, not if. Your confidence is admirable. Don't make me regret this, Batman growled. Regret is for those who make poor decisions, Doom replied, his armor's systems already reactivating, power cells charging, mystical wards flaring back to full strength. Doom's decisions are always correct. Even when they appear catastrophic, they serve Doom's ultimate purpose. And what purpose is that? Doom turned, his metal mask unreadable, but his voice carried absolute conviction. To protect what Doom deems worthy of protection. Whether that worthy subject agrees or not is irrelevant. Before Batman could respond, Doom activated his own teleportation spell, not boom tube technology, but pure magical displacement that bypassed the Watchtower's security entirely. He vanished in emerald flames, and reappeared in Metropolis directly in front of Darkseid. The Lord of Apocalypse paused mid-battle, his Omega beams fatting as he studied this newcomer with interest. Superman and Wonder Woman scrambled to their feet, shocked by Doom's sudden arrival. Victor Von Doom, the tyrant announced, his voice carrying across the battlefield with amplified authority. Monarch of Latveria, master of science and sorcery, rightful ruler of Doom, Darkseid interrupted, his voice making the words sound like an evaluation. I have observed many universes, many versions of many beings, but you are new, interesting. Doom is unique in all realities, Victor confirmed. And Doom brings you a proposition, Lord of Apocalypse. No, Superman shouted, flying forward. Doom, whatever you're planning. Silence, Kryptonian, Doom commanded, and to Superman's shock, his voice carried such authority that the Man of Steel actually hesitated. Doom addresses your better. Wonder Woman raised her sword, but Darkseid held up one massive hand. Let him speak. I am curious. Doom stepped forward, his armor's sensors already analyzing Darkseid's energy signature, cataloging weaknesses, formulating 17 different attack strategies while simultaneously calculating whether alliance might serve better than conflict. You seek the anti-life equation, Doom said, the mathematical proof of hopelessness that would allow you to dominate all free will. Doom has encountered similar formulas in my universe. Doom once possessed the power of cosmic entities. Doom understands the seduction of absolute control. You presume to understand Darkseid. The new god's eyes glowed with Omega energy. Doom understands the fundamental flaw in your methodology, Victor replied calmly. You seek to eliminate free will to achieve perfect order, but such an order is sterile, stagnant. True power comes not from removing choice, but from ensuring that all choices serve your ultimate design. Batman's voice crackled in Doom's helmet, transmitted from the watchtower. What are you doing? Diplomacy, Doom responded. Watch, learn. Darkseid's stone face remained impassive, but his tactical mind was already processing. This armored human spoke with the confidence of cosmic experience. His dimensional breach had indeed weakened barriers. Darkseid's own mystics had detected it. But more intriguing was the methodology this Doom proposed. You suggest an alternative to the anti-life equation, Darkseid asked. Doom suggests that your methods are crude, Victor answered. Brutish. You rule through fear and domination. Latveria proves that perfect rule requires perfect understanding. Doom's people love him because Doom's protection is absolute. Doom's judgment is infallible, and Doom's vision is enlightened. You waste Darkseid's time with philosophy. Doom wastes nothing. Victor countered. Doom offers you what your endless searching has failed to provide, a universe to test your theories of order against Doom's theories of governance. Winner claims both realities. The silence that fell across Metropolis was absolute. Even the parademen stopped their assault, awaiting their master's command. Superman's mind raced. Doom had just challenged Darkseid to a contest. But a contest of what? Military might. That would mean war. Philosophical debate. That bought time. Or you propose a wager, Darkseid said slowly, and something like amusement crept into his voice. How? Mortal. Doom proposes a test, Victor corrected. 1 Earth, 3 months. Doom will govern one hemisphere using Doom's methods. You govern the other using yours. We see which population thrives, which begs for liberation, and which ruler proves superior. If you win, Doom will share knowledge of interdimensional travel, expand your conquests beyond this single reality. If Doom wins, you withdraw your forces and never return to this universe. That's insane, Wonder Woman shouted. We're not gambling with Earth. But Batman's voice in Doom's helmet carried grim understanding. You're buying us time, 3 months to find Darkseid's weakness, to prepare, to build your countermeasures. Doom is multi-layered, Victor responded privately while maintaining eye contact with Darkseid. Yes. Darkseid studied Doom with those ancient eyes, calculating. This was unprecedented, foolish, perhaps, but Darkseid's search for the anti-life equation had consumed millennia. What were 3 months to test alternative methodologies? And if this Doom proved inferior, Darkseid would gain interdimensional conquest regardless. Acceptable, Darkseid rumbled. But understand, Darkseid does not simply rule. Darkseid is. If your methods fail, if your people beg for mercy, your death will be educational. Doom never fails, Victor said simply. Doom merely encounters temporary setbacks that ultimately serve Doom's greater purpose. The boom tube vortex expanded and Darkseid turned to leave, his parademons retreating with military precision. 3 months, Doom. Prepare your hemisphere. Darkseid shall prepare his, and we shall see which philosophy governs existence itself. He vanished through the portal. Superman landed beside Doom, fury and confusion warring in his expression. "What have you done?" "Doom has saved your Earth," Victor replied, turning to face the Trinity. "For now. 3 months to analyze Darkseid's weaknesses, 3 months to develop countermeasures, 3 months to prepare for inevitable betrayal, because tyrants like Darkseid never honor wagers." "And you'll rule half of Earth in the meantime," Batman said, arriving via teleporter with Green Lantern and Flash flanking him. "Making yourself dictator." "Doom will demonstrate superior governance," Victor corrected. "And when the inevitable conflict comes, your people will have witnessed the efficiency of true leadership. They will beg Doom to save them from Darkseid's brutality. Your democracy will crumble, and Doom will rebuild it properly." Wonder Woman's lasso snapped out, coiling around Doom's armor. "You'll tell us the truth. What's your real plan?" The lasso of truth glowed, compelling honesty, but Doom's mystical wards fought it, his sorcery battling Amazon divinity. Still, some truth leaked through. "Doom's plan is to protect this universe," he said, each word forced. "But also to prove Doom's superiority to your Trinity, to demonstrate that tyranny, properly executed, saves more lives than democracy ever could." "He believes it," Wonder Woman said, shocked. "He genuinely believes he's the hero of his story." "All tyrants do," Batman replied grimly. "Alfred, tell the UN we have a situation. Tell them we need an emergency session immediately." As the Justice League scrambled to contain the diplomatic nightmare Doom had created, Victor Von Doom stood in Metropolis's ruins and smiled behind his mask. Phase 1 complete. Darkseid delayed. Justice League is indebted but hostile. Earth is divided for a governance experiment. And most importantly, access to this universe's resources, magic and technology for 3 months of uninterrupted study. By the time Darkseid returned to claim his prize, Doom would have mastered DC's magical framework, replicated Mother Box technology, analyzed Kryptonian biology, and discovered the anti-life equation's countermeasure. Then Doom would save this universe, whether the Justice League wanted him to or not. The UN Security Council chamber had hosted declarations of war, peace treaties, and the occasional Kryptonian testimony, but nothing prepared the delegates for Victor Von Doom's entrance. He strode through the assembly with the bearing of a monarch addressing peasants, his armor gleaming under fluorescent lights, cape trailing with dramatic precision that somehow avoided being theatrical. Batman flanked his left, Superman his right, less honor-guard than jailers who'd realized their prisoner had negotiated his own release. "Distinguished representatives," Doom began, his voice carrying without amplification. "Doom addresses you not as supplicant but as savior. Your world faces extinction. Doom has provided a temporary respite. You will now decide whether to embrace survival or cling to the comforting illusions of autonomy." The British ambassador stood, his face reddening. "You've unilaterally agreed to divide Earth's governance with an alien warlord. You have no authority." "Doom requires no authority beyond competence," Victor interrupted. "Your Justice League faced Darkseid and failed. Doom negotiated a ceasefire. The equation is simple. Reject Doom's terms and Darkseid returns within hours to finish what your heroes could not prevent. Accept them, and Earth survives long enough for Doom to devise a permanent solution." Superman stepped forward, his voice carrying diplomatic warmth that barely masked frustration. "What Dr. Doom isn't mentioning is that his solution involves becoming the temporary dictator of half the planet. The Justice League strongly opposes. Your opposition is noted and irrelevant," Doom said. "The choice before this assembly is binary: organized governance under Doom's protection versus extinction under Darkseid's Omega beams. Doom awaits your decision." The chamber erupted in arguments, Eastern Bloc representatives demanding details, Western powers rejecting dictatorship on principle, smaller nations calculating survival odds. Through it all, Batman watched Doom with detective's intensity, nodding every micro-gesture, analyzing each word choice. "You're too calm," Batman murmured, positioning himself where only Doom could hear. "This chaos doesn't bother you, because this isn't your real plan." Doom's mask turned slightly, acknowledging Batman's perception. The detective proves his reputation warranted. Doom's ultimate objective remains beyond your current comprehension. But know this, every action Doom takes serves multiple purposes. Saving Earth, Purpose 1. Studying this universe's unique properties, Purpose 2. Demonstrating governance superiority, Purpose 3. And Purpose 4. Remains classified, Batman finished. "I'll figure it out." Doom anticipates the attempt. Doom even welcomes it. Competition breeds excellence. The UN Secretary-General called for order, his gavel barely audible over the din. "Dr. Doom, the Security Council requires clarification. You claim Darkseid will honor this wager." "No," Doom answered with brutal honesty that shocked the Assembly into silence. "Darkseid will inevitably betray the agreement. Tyrants of his caliber view honor as weakness. But betrayal requires time, reconnaissance, strategy, preparation. Doom estimates 2 months before Darkseid moves. That provides a sufficient window." "For what?" Wonder Woman demanded from her position beside the Secretary-General, serving as Justice League liaison. "To analyze Apocalypse's boom tube technology, study Darkseid's Omega effect, develop countermeasures, and construct weapons capable of permanently neutralizing new god physiology." Doom's tone suggested he was reading a grocery list rather than describing cosmic deicide. Doom has defeated Mephisto, stolen power from Galactus, and once ruled all of Latveria's enemies simultaneously through superior tactical genius. Darkseid is merely another obstacle to overcome. "You're insane," the Russian ambassador muttered. "Doom is efficient," Victor corrected. "Your democracy wastes time debating while threats multiply. Doom acts, Doom protects, Doom succeeds." Superman floated forward, his cape settling as he addressed the Assembly with the moral authority that made dictators and Democrats alike pause. "I understand the fear. Darkseid is one of the most dangerous beings in the universe, but giving Doom dictatorial power over half of Earth sets a precedent we can't undo. There has to be another way." "Propose it," Doom challenged. "The Kryptonian always speaks of hope, of finding alternatives to darkness." "Very well. What alternative does the Man of Steel suggest?" Superman's jaw clenched, because there wasn't one, not immediately. The Justice League needed time to mobilize cosmic-level defenses, coordinate with Green Lantern Corps, and perhaps even negotiate with New Genesis for support. But that time, "I thought as eloquent as ever, the Kryptonian falls silent when solutions require pragmatism rather than platitudes." Doom turned back to the Assembly. "Doom offers compromise. Select specific territories for Doom's governance. Nations volunteer rather than submit to an assignment. Those who choose freedom may have it and face Darkseid's inevitable return accordingly. Those who choose survival accept Doom's protection." It was brilliant manipulation, Batman realized with grudging respect. Doom had framed the choice as voluntary while making rejection suicidal. Nations would compete to join his hemisphere, desperate for protection. "Latveria volunteers," Doom continued. "Oh wait, Latveria doesn't exist in this universe. A tragedy. Very well, Doom accepts governance of, shall we say, the Eastern Hemisphere, Russia, China, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. Darkseid may claim the Americas and Oceania. Balanced, fair, appropriately dramatic." "You're dividing the world along continental lines." The Chinese ambassador stood, his expression unreadable. "What guarantees do we have that you won't simply remain after Darkseid is defeated?" "You have Doom's word," Victor said simply. "Forgive us for finding that insufficient," the ambassador replied dryly. "Then you have Batman's contingency plans," Doom countered, gesturing toward the Dark Knight. "The detective has already prepared 17 methods to eliminate Doom should betrayal occur." Doom sensed the calculations during transportation. The microwave emitter keyed to Doom's armor frequency. The mystical binding ritual was adapted from Constantine's notes. The Kryptonian delivered kinetic strike. Shall Doom continue? Batman's expression remained flat, but Wonder Woman caught the slight tension in his jaw. Doom had reverse-engineered Batman's contingencies just from proximity. "You see," Doom continued, "your heroes provide oversight. Doom governs, Earth survives, and when Darkseid returns for inevitable betrayal, Doom will have prepared sufficient countermeasures to ensure permanent victory. The alternative remains extinction. Doom awaits your choice." The vote took 3 hours. The result was predictable. Survival outweighed principle. 53 nations accepted Doom's governance. 42 rejected it, clustering primarily in the Americas under Superman's implicit protection. The world is divided not along ideological lines but along calculated survival odds. Doom accepted the results with regal dignity, as though the UN had merely confirmed what destiny already decreed. "Excellent." Doom begins immediately. Governance protocols will be transmitted within the hour. Crime will cease within 48 hours. Poverty will be eliminated within 1 week. The disease will be cured within 2 weeks. Your democracy required decades to achieve lesser results. Doom requires days. As the assembly dissolved into chaos again, some nations celebrating, others protesting, the Justice League coordinating emergency response, Doom approached Superman privately. "The Kryptonian disapproves," Doom observed. "You've made yourself dictator of half the world," Superman said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "You're using fear of Darkseid to justify tyranny. How is that different from what you claim to oppose?" "Intent," Doom answered simply. "Darkseid seeks universal enslavement as an ideological endpoint. Doom seeks universal protection as a practical methodology. The difference is fundamental. The road to hell is paved with good intentions." "Then hell is well maintained," Doom replied, "because Doom's intentions are excellent and Doom's execution is flawless." Before Superman could respond, an alarm shrieked across the UN complex. Cyborg's hologram materialized, his expression grim. "We've got a problem. Lex Luthor just broadcast a global message. He's offering technological support to any nation that rejects Doom's governance. He's positioning himself as the alternative protector." Doom's laugh echoed inside his mask. "Of course. The bald egotist cannot tolerate competition. How predictable." "This isn't funny," Batman growled. "Luthor has resources, technology, and enough public support to create a 3-way Cold War. You, Darkseid, and Lex. Doom finds it amusing that the Kryptonian's nemesis provides opposition. The symmetry is poetic." Doom's tone shifted, becoming analytical. "Luthor's technology is adequate for human standards. His strategic mind is considerable. But Luthor's fundamental flaw is identical to his." Doom gestured at Superman, enemy's fundamental flaw. "Both believe ideology determines outcomes. Doom knows that competence determines outcomes. Ideology is merely branding." "I need to stop Lex before this escalates," Superman said, already preparing to fly. "No," Doom's command carried surprising weight. "Let Luthor position himself as an alternative. Let him expend resources protecting the Americas. When Darkseid inevitably attacks those territories first, testing defenses, probing weaknesses, Luthor's technology will fail. The Kryptonian will struggle, and the people will witness the contrast between Doom's protected territories and Luthor's failures." "You're using them as bait," Wonder Woman said, disgust coloring her voice as she joined the conversation. "Doom is using them as an object lesson," Victor corrected. "Luthor's pride ensures he will accept the challenge. Superman's morality ensures he will protect Luthor's territories regardless of disagreement. Darkseid's tactical doctrine ensures he will strike where defenses appear weakest. All players act according to nature. Doom merely arranges the board." Batman's cowl shadowed his eyes, but his voice carried grim understanding. "You've wargamed this. Multiple scenarios. You knew Luthor would oppose you. You're counting on it." "Doom counts on nothing," Victor said. "Doom ensures everything. There is a distinction. The Watchtower's teleporter activated without authorization. Doom's technology had already infiltrated Justice League systems, and Victor Von Doom vanished in emerald energy. He reappeared in Moscow, where the Russian government had prepared a command center for his governance. Officials scrambled to attention, uncertain whether to salute, bow, or flee. Doom ignored their confusion, striding directly to the central command terminal. Doom assumes control. All military assets are now under Doom's direction. All economic systems are now under Doom's optimization algorithms. All social services are now under Doom's protection protocols. His gauntlets interfaced with the computers, uploading programs that made Russian cybersecurity experts weep with simultaneous terror and admiration. Opposition will be noted and corrected. Cooperation will be rewarded. Competence will be elevated. Mediocrity will be eliminated. Eliminated, the Russian defense minister's face paled. You mean? Eliminated from positions of authority, not from existence, Doom clarified with surprising patience. Doom is not a genocidal monster. Doom is an efficient administrator. Those incapable of serving at the current level will be reassigned to positions matching actual competence. Janitors who demonstrate strategic thinking will command military units. Generals who demonstrate incompetence will clean latrines. Merit determines hierarchy, nothing else. Within 6 hours, Doom had restructured the entire Russian government. Crime syndicates found their accounts drained, their safe houses breached by Doombots, autonomous drones combining Stark-level technology with magical wards. Corrupt officials discovered their secrets exposed, their power nullified. Competent administrators suddenly found themselves elevated 3 ranks regardless of political connections. It was ruthlessly efficient, terrifyingly effective, and disturbingly popular. In Beijing, Tokyo, Berlin, Cairo, Mumbai, every capital under Doom's governance, the pattern repeated. Doom's distributed consciousness managed 53 nations simultaneously through technological and mystical means that made Mother Box integration look primitive. Crime didn't decrease. Crime stopped. Not through oppressive surveillance, but through Doom's predictive algorithms that prevented crimes before commission while simultaneously addressing root causes. Batman watched the transformation from the watchtower, his detective mind cataloging every detail while his paranoia screamed warnings. "He's doing it," Cyborg said, disbelief coloring his synthesized voice. "Crime down 97% across the Eastern Hemisphere in 12 hours. Food distribution optimized, hunger is actually being eliminated. Medical nanites are curing diseases. The efficiency is inhuman," Batman finished. "Because it is. Doom isn't governing, he's controlling." Every decision filtered through his perception of perfection. "But people are safer," Flash said quietly, having just returned from Moscow reconnaissance. "Happier even. I talked to citizens. They're terrified of Doom, but they're also grateful. The streets are clean, the food is plentiful, sick kids are being cured. How do we fight that?" "We don't fight results," Superman said, his voice heavy with the weight of impossible choices. "We fight methodology. A benevolent dictator is still a dictator." "Is he, though?" Wonder Woman's question surprised them. "Benevolent. I've studied Doom's Latveria from his universe through dimensional records. His people genuinely worship him. Not through brainwashing, Constantine verified the absence of mystical compulsion. Through legitimate gratitude for protection and prosperity. What if Doom is exactly what he claims? A tyrant whose tyranny actually serves his people? Then we face the hardest question in heroism," Batman answered. "Do we oppose evil methods even when they achieve good results? Or do we admit that sometimes darkness serves light better than light serves itself?" The philosophical debate was interrupted by alarms. Not from Earth, from space. Darkseid had begun his governance of the Western Hemisphere. Apocalypse's technology descended on North America like a plague of fire. Boom tubes deposited fortresses in major cities: Gotham, Metropolis, Star City, Central City. But Darkseid's methodology differed fundamentally from Doom's. Where Doom optimized and elevated, Darkseid dominated and crushed. Crime stopped in Darkseid's territories too, but stopped through fear, through parademons patrolling the streets, through Omega beam executions broadcast as warnings, through the anti-life equation's whispers, eroding free will at civilization's edges. Luthor mobilized his technology, LexCorp drones engaging parademons, force field generators protecting citizens, weapons platforms targeting boom tubes. The resistance was valiant. It was insufficient. Superman flew through Metropolis heat vision incinerating parademons, frost breath sealing boom tubes, his Kryptonian strength pushed to limits. But for every parademon destroyed, 3 more emerged. For every boom tube closed, 2 opened. And Darkseid himself stood atop the LexCorp building, watching with patient malevolence as humanity struggled. "This is your protection, Luthor," Darkseid's voice carried across the city. "This is the alternative to Doom's governance, chaos, suffering, inevitable failure." Lex Luthor's face appeared on every screen, defiant despite obvious exhaustion. "We don't need protection from tyrants. We don't need Doom's benevolent oppression or your malevolent domination. Humanity protects itself." "Humanity dies," Darkseid corrected. "Slowly in Doom's gilded cage, quickly under Darkseid's heel. The choice was always an illusion." In Moscow, Doom watched the carnage through mystical scrying enhanced by technology. His territories remained peaceful, his Doombots having already repelled 3 Apocalypse probe attacks with contemptuous efficiency. But the Western Hemisphere burned. Batman's communication came through. "You're watching." "Doom observes," Victor confirmed. "Help them? Why?" Doom's question carried genuine curiosity. "They rejected Doom's governance. They chose Luthor's inadequate technology and Superman's sentimental heroism. Let them experience the consequences of poor decisions." "People are dying. People die regardless," Doom said, his tone matter-of-fact rather than cruel. "The question is whether they die despite competent protection or because of incompetent alternatives. Doom provides competent protection. Your allies provide inspiring speeches." "Damn you, Doom," Batman snarled. "If you don't help, you're no better than Darkseid." "False equivalency," Doom replied. "Darkseid destroys for ideological satisfaction. Doom preserves for practical necessity. But if Batman insists..." Doom's armor systems activated, power cells charging to maximum. "Doom will demonstrate the difference between tyranny and salvation. Watch, detective. Learn what true heroism requires." Victor Von Doom teleported directly into Metropolis, not to Superman's side, but to Darkseid's position atop LexCorp. The 2 dictators faced each other across the rooftop as the city burned below. "Doom," Darkseid acknowledged, "you broke our agreement." "Doom renegotiates," Victor corrected. "Your methodology is wasteful, destructive, inefficient. You had 2 months to demonstrate governance superiority. You've achieved only genocide, unacceptable. You presume to judge Darkseid." "Doom presumes to surpass Darkseid," Victor replied. "Your new god physiology is impressive. Your Omega effect is formidable. But Doom has analyzed weaknesses during our previous encounter, and Doom has prepared countermeasures." Doom's gauntlets blazed with energy, not merely technological, but the chaotic magic of DC's universe channeled through Latverian science. He'd spent the past days studying this reality's mystical framework, adapting it, mastering it. The spell he unleashed combined Zatanna's backward speech principles with Constantine's demon-binding geometry and Wonder Woman's divine energy frequencies. The mystical chains manifested in golden light, wrapping around Darkseid with enough force to stagger even a new god. "Impressive," Darkseid admitted, his voice carrying no fear despite the restraints. "You have learned quickly, but you have learned insufficiently." His Omega beams erupted, not targeting Doom but the chains themselves. Divine magic versus cosmic death energy. The collision created a shockwave that shattered windows across Metropolis. Doom's armor absorbed the ambient energy, power cells overcharging to dangerous levels. Predictable, Doom calculated a 93% probability of that exact response, which is why Doom prepared Countermeasure 17. A portal opened, not boom tube technology, but Doom's own dimensional magic adapted to DC's reality. Through it poured combat robots that made Mother Box technology look quaint. Each one carried weapons reverse-engineered from Doom's analysis of apocalypse tech, enhanced with magic, optimized through genius that bridged universes. They swarmed Darkseid in a coordinated assault that forced even the Lord of Apocalypse to actually defend himself. Below, Superman and the Justice League watched in astonishment as Doom, alone, engaged Darkseid in combat that registered on cosmic scales. "He's holding his own," Flash breathed, "against Darkseid, alone." "He's losing," Batman corrected, his analytical mind tracking the battle's progression. "But he's gathering data. Every exchange teaches him something about Darkseid's combat algorithms. He's not trying to win, he's trying to learn." And Batman was right. Doom's robots fell one by one to Omega beams. His mystical chains shattered under Apocalypse strength. His armor took hits that would have atomized buildings. But through it all, Doom's sensors recorded everything: Omega beam frequency, new God physiological limits, tactical patterns, energy signatures. "Sufficient data acquired," Doom announced, teleporting backward as Darkseid's fist cratered the rooftop where he'd stood. "Doom has learned what was required. Round 1 concluded. Round 2 will proceed when Doom is properly prepared." "You retreat," Darkseid's tone carried disappointment. "Doom speaks boldly but acts as a coward." "Doom acts as strategist," Victor corrected. "Superior warriors retreat when tactical advantage demands it. Inferior warriors confuse pride with competence. Doom anticipated you would require this lesson. Consider it provided." He vanished in emerald flame, leaving Darkseid alone atop the building. The Lord of Apocalypse smiled, an expression without warmth, carrying only dark amusement. "Interesting. This Doom possesses genuine competence. The wager becomes entertaining." In Moscow, Doom's armor self-repaired while his consciousness processed terabytes of combat data. Batman's communication came through immediately. "You're building something," the detective said. "That wasn't just reconnaissance. You were testing specific parameters." "Doom is always building," Victor confirmed. "The weapon that will permanently neutralize Darkseid requires a precise understanding of new God physiology. Doom now possesses that understanding." "What weapon?" "All in appropriate time, detective. For now, know that Doom has bought your inadequate heroes additional time. Use it wisely, prepare defenses, coordinate strategies, and pray that when Doom's weapon is complete, the collateral damage remains acceptable." Batman's voice carried a grim understanding. "You're going to do something terrible, aren't you? Something that will save Earth but destroy." "What? What's the cost, Doom?" Doom was silent for 3 seconds, an eternity for his genius-level intellect. "The cost is always the acceptability of methods," he finally answered. "Doom will save this universe, but the salvation will require choices your Superman cannot make, decisions your Wonder Woman cannot accept, actions your Batman will never forgive." His tone carried something almost like regret. "Doom has borne such burdens before. Doom will bear them again, because someone must. And Doom is the only one competent enough to carry such weight without breaking." The transmission ended, and Victor Von Doom began constructing a weapon that would either save the DC universe or doom it to something worse than Darkseid's conquest. A weapon powered by the one thing Doom understood better than anyone across all universes: the terrible mathematics of necessary evil. The Batcave had witnessed Bruce Wayne's darkest calculations: contingencies to murder his friends, strategies to survive planetary extinction, plans to defeat gods. But watching Doom's global transformation through the cave's monitors revealed something more disturbing than villainy: competence married to absolute conviction. "Crime rates in Doom's territories are now 0, Oracle reported through the comms system, her voice carrying professional detachment that barely masked philosophical unease. "Not reduced. 0. I've checked independently, no statistical manipulation, no hidden crimes reclassified. Doom's predictive algorithms and enforcement drones prevent crimes before commission." Batman's jaw tightened. "Prevention or crime punishment?" "Both. Neither. It's..." Barbara Gordon's pause spoke volumes. "Bruce, He's addressing root causes while simultaneously interdicting criminal intent. Poverty is eliminated through resource optimization. Mental illness treated through medical nanites. Desperation is removed through guaranteed security. The crimes that would occur simply don't have reason to occur anymore. That's impossible. It's doom, she replied simply. 17 days under his governance and the Eastern Hemisphere is transforming into something that looks like utopia. People are happy, Bruce, actually happy. Not drugged, not brainwashed, Constantine checked for magical compulsion. They're happy because their lives measurably improved. Alfred descended the cave stairs, carrying tea Bruce wouldn't drink and wisdom Bruce needed to hear. Master Wayne, I've reviewed the testimonials from Doom's territories. A mother in Cairo whose daughter was cured of leukemia, a factory worker in Beijing whose wage tripled while working hours decreased, a teacher in Moscow who can actually teach because Doom's systems eliminated bureaucratic inefficiency. These are not coerced testimonies. They're still living under a dictatorship, Batman growled. Indeed, sir. A dictatorship that feeds them, heals them, protects them, and elevates them based purely on merit. Alfred set the tea down with deliberate precision. The philosophical question becomes, is freedom without security preferable to security without freedom? That's not the question, Bruce snapped. The question is what happens when Doom leaves, when his systems fail, when the benevolent dictator becomes malevolent or simply absent. Humanity will have forgotten how to govern itself. Assuming Doom leaves, Alfred said quietly, and assuming his systems can fail. The monitors shifted, showing Metropolis under Darkseid's brutal control. Parademons patrolled the streets. Omega symbols glowed on buildings, marks of submission. Citizens cowered, even as Darkseid's forces maintained order through overwhelming violence. Luthor's resistance crumbled daily despite technological innovation. Superman fought constantly, barely sleeping, pushing Kryptonian endurance to limits. The contrast was undeniable. Doom's territories flourished, Darkseid's territories suffered, and the Western Hemisphere watched with growing desperation. He's manipulating them, Batman said. Doom's making his methodology look preferable by comparison to Darkseid's brutality. It's sophisticated propaganda. Or, Alfred suggested with careful diplomacy, it is simply an accurate comparison. One tyrant genuinely protects his subjects, the other genuinely enslaves them. Both are dictators, but perhaps dictatorship exists on a spectrum rather than binary. Before Bruce could respond, the cave's alarms shrieked. Not external threat, internal breach. Someone had penetrated Batman's security, bypassed quantum encryption, navigated mystical wards, and stood in the Batcave's deepest sanctum. Victor Von Doom materialized from emerald teleportation, his armor's power signature somehow masked until the moment of arrival. Batman's hand moved to the kryptonite-enhanced weapon, but Doom raised one gauntlet in a peaceful gesture. Doom means no harm, detective. Doom comes with a proposition. You broke into the Batcave, Bruce said, his voice carrying controlled fury. That alone justifies nothing, Doom interrupted. Batman breaks into facilities constantly. Doom merely demonstrates reciprocal competence. Now cease posturing and listen. Time grows short. Alfred's hand remained on the emergency beacon that would summon Superman in seconds. But curiosity, that detective's curse, made Bruce gesture for Doom to continue. Darkseid's betrayal approaches, Doom said, pulling up holographic displays that hijacked Batman's own systems. Mathematical formulas scrolled past, equations that made quantum physics look elementary. Doom's analysis indicates 72 hours until Darkseid abandons the pretense of wager and commits full apocalypse assault. His new gods are mobilizing. The anti-life equation fragments are being compiled, and your Justice League remains inadequately prepared. We're coordinating with Green Lantern Corps, Batman said. New Genesis has pledged support. We have contingencies that will fail, Doom stated flatly. Doom has modeled 17,000 combat scenarios. Justice League loses in 16,943 permutations. Narrow victories in 56 scenarios require casualties that Batman considers unacceptable. True victory exists in precisely one scenario. "Let me guess," Bruce said coldly. "The scenario where we trust you completely." "No, the scenario where Doom implements the weapon designed to permanently neutralize Darkseid." Doom's hologram shifted, revealing schematics that combined Mother Box technology, speed-force equations, Kryptonian solar energy matrices, and mystical geometry that drew from every magical tradition DC's universe contained. But implementation requires resources only Batman can provide. What resources? Access to Phantom Zone projector. Sample of kryptonite from Batman's contingency vault. Constantine's soul-binding ritual was modified for new god physiology. Wonder Woman's lasso of truth for precise mystical channeling. And Superman's willing participation in the power transfer that will temporarily render him human. The silence in the Batcave pressed down like geological strata. "You wanted to power Superman," Batman said slowly. "Temporarily. 6 minutes. Sufficient time to channel Kryptonian solar energy through a dimensional matrix that will trap Darkseid in theoretical space between the Phantom Zone and Source Wall. Forever imprisoned, forever isolated, forever neutralized. And if it fails, then Doom dies first," Victor said simply. "The weapon requires Doom to serve as a central conduit. Power flows through Doom's armor, body, and consciousness. Success rate, 87%. Failure results in Doom's complete disintegration across quantum foam, but success ensures Darkseid's permanent defeat." Alfred's eyes widened fractionally, the only sign of his shock. Doom was proposing a suicide mission disguised as a technological solution. "Why?" Batman demanded. "Why would you risk your life for a universe that isn't yours? For people who despise everything you represent?" Doom turned, his mask's empty eyes somehow conveying profound weight. "Because Doom is king, and kings protect their kingdoms, even kingdoms not yet claimed. Because Doom cannot tolerate Darkseid's inferior tyranny corrupting a universe that demonstrates such fascinating properties. Because Doom has ruled Latveria for decades, and every decision, every sacrifice, has served a single purpose: protection of what Doom deems worthy. And you've deemed DC Universe worthy. Doom has deemed this universe." "Interesting," Victor admitted. "Your magic system surpasses Marvel's in chaotic potential. Your speed force represents a dimensional energy type unprecedented in Doom's research. Your emotional spectrum demonstrates the power from conviction principle that Doom finds philosophically compelling. This universe contains knowledge worth preserving. Therefore, Doom will preserve it." Batman's mind raced through possibilities, calculating deceptions, weighing sincerity. "You're still planning to rule Earth afterward?" "Obviously," Doom confirmed without hesitation. "Doom will demonstrate governance superiority, convince populations through results rather than rhetoric, and eventually assume rightful position as Earth's protector sovereign. But Earth cannot be governed if Darkseid reduces it to a smoldering crater. Priorities, detective. Doom understands priorities. Superman will never agree to temporary depowerment." "Then convince him," Doom said. "Batman excels at convincing allies to accept terrible necessities. The Tower of Babel proved that methodology. Brother Eye confirmed it. Every contingency in Batman's arsenal demonstrates a willingness to betray friends for the greater good. Doom requires Batman to exercise that willingness one more time." The accusation hit precisely because it was accurate. Bruce Wayne had made a career of terrible choices justified by terrible mathematics, and Doom was forcing him to choose again. "Show me the complete weapon specifications," Batman demanded. "Every detail, every risk, every possible failure mode." "Of course." Doom transmitted files that made the Batcomputer work for 17 seconds processing, an eternity for Wayne tech. Doom provides full transparency. Analyze, verify, calculate. And when Batman reaches the inevitable conclusion that Doom's plan represents the optimal survival path, informs Superman that his sacrifice serves billions. Doom vanished in emerald flame, leaving Bruce Wayne alone with Alfred and the terrible weight of decision. "He's right," Bruce said quietly, the admission costing him visible effort. "I've run the calculations. Doom's weapon is our best chance, possibly our only chance. And Master Kent will hate me for asking," Bruce finished. "Will hate me more for being right, but he'll agree. Because Clark's greatest weakness and greatest strength are identical. He always chooses to save everyone, even when the cost is himself." The Fortress of Solitude stood in Arctic isolation, its Kryptonian crystals catching sunlight and transforming it into geometric poetry. Superman sat before the console that contained all knowledge of his lost homeworld, seeking wisdom from dead civilizations. Batman's signal interrupted the meditation. Bruce's face appeared on the crystalline display, cowled, grim, carrying the expression Clark had learned to dread. "No," Superman said immediately. "You haven't heard." "I don't need to," Clark interrupted. "That look means you've calculated something terrible, something that requires me to sacrifice something fundamental. And the answer is no, Bruce." "Darkseid attacks in 72 hours, Batman said flatly. "Full apocalypse invasion. New Genesis is 3 days away at maximum boom tube velocity. The Green Lantern Corps is engaged in the Sector 2814 conflict. We're alone. Doom has a weapon that can permanently neutralize Darkseid. It requires your temporary depowerment." Superman's hands clenched. "How temporary? 6 minutes. And if something goes wrong during those 6 minutes, if Doom's weapon fails, if Darkseid's forces attack, then we lose," Bruce said simply. "The weapon requires Kryptonian solar energy channeled through a dimensional matrix, your specific bioelectric signature. Without you, it doesn't work. Without it, Darkseid wins." Clark rose, packing the fortress with contained frustration. "You're asking me to trust Doom, a dictator, a tyrant. Someone who's turned half of Earth into his personal kingdom in 17 days. "I'm asking you to trust my analysis," Bruce corrected. "I've verified every aspect of Doom's weapon. It works, theoretically. The math is sound. The magical principles are valid. Constantine confirmed the mystical components. Zatanna verified the energy channeling. Even fate agreed it's our best option." "Best option," Superman repeated bitterly. "Not good option, not safe option, best of terrible alternatives. When have we ever had good options against cosmic threats?" Batman's voice softened fractionally. "Clark, I know what I'm asking, I know the risk, but if we don't do this, Earth falls, everything we've protected, everyone we've saved, gone." Superman turned back to the console, staring at Kryptonian glyphs that spelled out his family motto, El Mayra, a better world. His father Jor-El had sent him to Earth to inspire humanity toward better existence. His adopted father Jonathan Kent had taught him that power demanded responsibility, and now both lessons collided in impossible choice. "If I do this," Clark said slowly, "and Doom betrays us, uses those 6 minutes to implement something horrible, then I'll stop him," Bruce promised. "I have contingencies for Doom too now, 17 different kill switches. He knows I have them, he's counting on them as insurance." "You've planned to murder him." "I've planned to murder everyone," Batman replied with characteristic bluntness. "It's what I do, but Doom's different. He respects the contingencies, appreciates them, considers them proof of competence rather than an insult to trust." Superman's shoulders sagged slightly, not weakness, but the weight of decision. "When? 48 hours. Gives Doom time to finalize weapon construction. Gives us time to coordinate Justice League defensive positions. Gives you time to—" Bruce paused. "Say goodbyes just in case. In case I don't survive." "The math says 87% success rate," Bruce said. "But 13% means—" "Means I might not come back," Clark finished. "Yeah, I understand percentages, Bruce." The transmission ended. Superman stood alone in the fortress, surrounded by memories of lost Krypton and found Earth, and wondered if 6 minutes of vulnerability was an acceptable price for permanent victory. Doom's weapon took shape in an underground facility beneath Moscow, not a repurposed bunker, but entirely new construction that Doombots had excavated through quantum tunneling in 72 hours. The chamber stretched 300 feet in diameter, walls inscribed with mystical formulae that combined Dr. Fate's order magic, Constantine's chaos binding, and Doom's own Latverian sorcery. At the center stood the dimensional matrix, crystalline structure that resembled Kryptonian technology married to Apocalypse mother box design, powered by speed force energy stolen from trace signatures Flash left throughout combat, channeled through emotional spectrum resonance that Green Lantern's residual willpower provided. It was beautiful, it was terrifying, it was Doom's masterpiece. Wonder Woman stood at the chamber's entrance, her warrior's eye assessing the weapon with a mixture of awe and dread. This will either save us or destroy us. Binary thinking is beneath Amazon intelligence, Doom said without looking up from final calibrations. Weapon possesses 87% success probability, 13% failure rate. Expected casualties if success, 0. Expected casualties if failure. Doom's death, Superman's potential human mortality, possible dimensional collapse in a localized area equivalent to the European continent. You say that so casually, Diana said, hand resting on her sword. Millions could die. Billions will die if Darkseid succeeds, Doom countered. Doom's mathematics are simple. Certain extinction versus possible salvation. The equation solves itself. And if you're wrong, Doom finally turned, his mask's empty eyes meeting Wonder Woman's divine gaze. Then Doom dies first, painfully, across multiple dimensions simultaneously as quantum structure tears Doom's consciousness into constituent particles. Doom has calculated the suffering index. It would be considerable. You're afraid, Diana realized. Her lasso of truth not even necessary to detect the micro-tension in Doom's armored posture. Doom experiences appropriate caution, Victor corrected. Fear is paralysis. Caution is wisdom. Doom proceeds despite risk because proceeding is logical. Fear would demand retreat. Logic demands action. Wonder Woman studied him for a long moment. You're not what I expected. Batman warned me you'd be purely arrogant. Superman predicted you'd be irredeemably tyrannical. But you're something else, something complicated. Doom is Doom, Victor said simply. Tyrant, yes. Arrogant, certainly. But a tyrant who protects, arrogant with justification. The universe requires simple villains and simple heroes for simple narratives. Doom refuses simplicity. Doom embraces complexity. It makes Doom harder to defeat, also harder to understand. Which is your true defense, Diana said. If we can't understand you, we can't predict you, can't prepare for you. Precisely. Batman's contingencies are impressive but ultimately inadequate because Batman cannot fully model Doom's decision matrix. Superman's moral certainty provides strength but creates exploitable blindness. Wonder Woman's warrior wisdom recognizes complexity, but democracy demands she serve committee rather than conviction. Doom returned to calibrations. Doom serves only Doom's vision. It provides clarity your heroism lacks. And what vision is that? Doom was silent for 3 seconds. Then, a universe where suffering is optional rather than inevitable, where competence determines hierarchy rather than birth, wealth, or chaos, where protection is absolute and leadership is earned through results rather than rhetoric. Latveria demonstrated the possibility. This universe provides a larger canvas. Doom will paint properly. By ruling everyone. By protecting everyone, Doom corrected. Your language conflates rule with oppression. Doom rules Latveria. Latveria thrives. Therefore, rule and thrive can coexist. Your democracy assumes humans govern themselves wisely. History proves otherwise. Doom offers an alternative, a benevolent dictatorship where benevolence is enforced through competence rather than requested through hope. Hope is what makes us human, Wonder Woman said. Hope is what makes humans vulnerable, Doom replied. Competence is what makes humans survive. Before Diana could respond, the chamber's sensors detected arrival. Superman descended through a quantum-tunneled shaft, his cape settling as he landed beside Doom's weapon. His expression carried resignation mixed with determination, the face of a man who'd made peace with terrible necessity. "I'm ready," Clark said simply. Doom turned, studying Superman with sensors that analyzed every frequency. "The Kryptonian understands risks." "I understand that billions die if we fail," Superman answered. "That's reason enough." "Acceptable," Doom acknowledged. He activated the Matrix, and crystalline structures began to glow with channeled energy. Yellow sunlight stored in Kryptonian batteries, mystical power drawn from ley lines Constantine had mapped, speed-force resonance vibrating at dimensional frequencies. When Darkseid arrives, Superman will position himself in the central matrix. Doom will activate the weapon. Energy will flow, Superman's bioelectric signature through dimensional channels, binding Darkseid in theoretical space between Phantom Zone and Source Wall. Process requires 6 minutes. During that time, Superman will be human, vulnerable, mortal. "I know," Clark said quietly. "During that time, Doom will channel enough energy to vaporize a normal human," Victor continued. "Doom's armor and mystical wards provide protection, but pain will be considerable." "I know," Clark repeated. "You're not trying to scare me off, are you?" "Doom is ensuring informed consent," Victor replied. "Heroes frequently sacrifice themselves dramatically without understanding the precise nature of suffering they accept. Doom respects Superman enough to provide full disclosure. Superman will experience cellular degradation as Kryptonian biology reverts to human normal. Painful but temporary. Doom will experience quantum dissolution as dimensional energies tear through Latverian armor. Also painful, possibly not temporary." Superman extended his hand, a very human gesture that Doom's research indicated represented trust. "Then we both suffer, together, for Earth." Doom stared at the offered hand for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he clasped it. Metal gauntlet meeting invulnerable flesh in a gesture that transcended their fundamental differences. "For Earth," Doom agreed, "and for proof that tyrant and hero can cooperate when mathematics demands it." Wonder Woman watched the exchange and felt something unexpected. Hope. Not naive hope that differences would disappear, but pragmatic hope that perhaps competence and compassion could coexist, even briefly. In the service of survival. The chamber's alarms shrieked. Darkseid had arrived early. 72 hours had been an optimistic projection. Darkseid's tactical genius had accelerated the timeline. The Lord of Apocalypse materialized above Moscow, a boom tube vortex stretching across the sky like a cosmic wound. Through it poured his army, not just parademons now, but new gods. Kalibak, his brutal son. Darkseid, the torturer. Granny Goodness and her female furies. Steppenwolf leading parademon legions. And behind them, the whisper of anti-life equation, fragments assembling into a weapon that could end free will forever. "Doom," Darkseid's voice boomed across Moscow. "The wager is concluded. Your methodology is superior to Luthor's pathetic resistance, but superior to Darkseid. Never. Now you will kneel or you will die. Choose." In the underground chamber, Doom's sensors registered the assault. Ahead of schedule, tactically sound. Doom anticipated a 43% probability of early arrival. Unfortunate but manageable. "Can we still activate the weapon?" Superman asked. "Yes, but timing is critical. Justice League must hold Darkseid's forces for precisely 6 minutes. No more, no less. During that time, Doom and Superman are vulnerable. One parademon reaches this chamber, weapon fails." Wonder Woman's comm activated. "I'll coordinate defense. Batman's already mobilizing, but Doom..." "Yes. Make this count, because if you're wrong, we all die." "Doom is not wrong," Victor said with absolute certainty. "Doom is never wrong, merely occasionally premature in correctness." Diana flew toward the surface, leaving Doom and Superman alone with a weapon that would save or doom them all. "You meant what you said to Wonder Woman," Clark observed. "About the vision of the universe without suffering." "Doom meant every word," Victor confirmed. "Then maybe you're not a villain," Superman said quietly. "But you're just a hero with terrible methods." "Perhaps," Doom allowed. Or perhaps hero and villain are simply labels democracy assigns to maintain comfortable illusions. Perhaps there are only those who act and those who debate while worlds burn. I choose to believe there's a difference, Clark said. I have to. Because without that belief, without hope that good exists separate from method, then what's the point? The point is survival, Doom answered. But Doom acknowledges Superman's hope serves a function. It inspires, motivates, makes suffering bearable. Doom's competence saves. Superman's hope makes salvation worth having. Perhaps that is why the universe requires both. Above them, the battle for Earth's survival had begun. And below them, a tyrant and a hero prepared to sacrifice everything to prove that mathematics and morality could, for 6 perfect minutes, align. The sky above Moscow burned with the fires of apocalypse. Boom tubes vomited forth Darkseid's legions in numbers that turned day to night, parademons in formations that blotted out the sun, new gods radiating power that made the air itself scream, and behind them all, Darkseid himself, a monument to malevolent certainty that free will was merely illusion awaiting correction. Batman coordinated from the Batplane, his tactical genius stretched across global communication networks. Flash evacuates civilians within a 10-mile radius. Wonder Woman engaged the Furies they're targeting the underground facility. Cyborg, I need those boom tubes destabilized. Green Lantern, construct a perimeter. We hold for 6 minutes. Not 5, not 7, 6. 6 minutes against an army. Hal Jordan's voice crackled through comms, his Green Lantern ring blazing as massive emerald constructs materialized. Tanks, jets, soldiers made of pure willpower. No pressure. We've faced worse odds, Wonder Woman said, her sword cleaving through Lashana's whip before the Fury could respond. Gilatina came at her from the left, Mad Harriet from the right, the female Furies attacking with coordination born from centuries of combat. Diana's bracers rang as she deflected Bernadette's killing touch, her lasso snaring Stompa mid-leap. We've survived worse. Have we, though? Flash asked, his voice tight as he vibrated through falling debris while carrying unconscious civilians to safety. Because this feels pretty worse to me. We're talking about Darkseid, full power, full army, and our plan requires Superman to be human for 6 minutes. 5 minutes, 43 seconds, Batman corrected, his voice containing that particular flatness that meant he was calculating casualty probabilities in real time. And the plan works because it has to. There is no alternative. In the underground chamber, Doom completed final calibrations while Superman stood at the Matrix's center, feeling yellow sunlight warm his Kryptonian cells one last time before voluntary powerlessness. Second thoughts? Doom asked, not looking up from the holographic displays that showed quantum equations flowing like poetry written in mathematics. Constantly, Clark admitted, but having second thoughts and acting on them are different things. Jonathan Kent taught me that. Sometimes you do what's right even when every instinct screams to run. Latverian philosophy differs, Doom observed. Von Doom taught Victor that instinct is frequently correct, but conviction should override instinct when logic demands it. Similar conclusion, different reasoning. We're more alike than you want to admit, Superman said. Doom admits nothing, Victor replied. Doom acknowledges observable patterns. Superman's farm boy morality and Doom's autocratic pragmatism serve an identical purpose, protection. Your method inspires, Doom's method achieves. Both are necessary, neither is sufficient. Above them, the battle escalated beyond conventional heroism into mythological warfare. Kalibak's star-level strength met Wonder Woman's godly might in a collision that shattered Moscow's already damaged streets. Each punch registered seismic. Each block created shockwaves. The Amazon warrior fought with precision learned from millennia of combat, but Darkseid's son possessed raw power that tested even divine endurance. You fight well, daughter of Zeus, Kalibak rumbled, his massive fists hammering down. But you fight for democracy, weakness, chaos. Better to serve Darkseid, better to embrace order. Order without freedom is slavery, Diana gasped, her sword biting into Kalibak's shoulder. New god physiology made the wound superficial, but the symbolism mattered. I've lived in paradise, real paradise, built on choice, not compulsion. Then die for your choice, Caliban snarled. His next punch would have cratered her skull, but Green Lantern's construct, a baseball glove because Hal Jordan's imagination defaulted to American sports under pressure, intercepted it. The construct shattered, but the impact was deflected. "Tag out, Diana," Hal called, his ring blazing brighter. "I've got the big guy. You handle the portal defense." Wonder Woman didn't argue. Tactical efficiency demanded acknowledging when fresh fighters could better serve. She flew toward where Cyborg coordinated boom tube disruption, her warrior's mind already calculating next moves. The Watchtower's tactical display showed the broader picture. Justice League holding against overwhelming odds through competence and desperation in equal measure. Flash's speed created temporal distortions that confused parademon formations. Cyborg's mother box integration allowed him to hijack Apocalypse technology, turning enemy boom tubes against themselves. Green Lantern's constructs bought seconds with emerald walls and weapons. But seconds were all they bought. Darkseid's forces adapted, learned, evolved their tactics in real time. 4 minutes, 20 seconds, Batman announced, his Batplane weaving through parademon swarms while launching electromagnetic pulses that disrupted their neural implants. "We're losing containment on the eastern perimeter. Flash, I need." "Already there," Barry Allen interrupted, his Speed Force aura crackling as he evacuated 300 civilians in the span between Batman's words. "But Bruce, there are too many. I can't be everywhere." "You don't need to be everywhere," Batman replied. "You need to be where mathematics demands you." In the underground chamber, Doom activated the weapon's first phase. Crystalline matrices began to glow, not merely light, but reality itself bending around concentrated energy. The mystical formulae inscribed on walls pulsed with power drawn from ley lines Constantine had mapped, chaos magic channeled through order principles that Dr. Fate had reluctantly provided, divine energy borrowed from Wonder Woman's Amazon heritage. "Superman," Doom said formally, "step into the Matrix. Accept the transformation, and understand, once begun, the process cannot be stopped. 6 minutes of vulnerability are non-negotiable. If Doom falls during that time, Superman remains human permanently. Kryptonian biology does not regenerate spontaneously." Clark took a breath he didn't biologically need. Human habit maintained despite alien physiology. "I trust you." "Foolish," Doom observed, "but appreciated." Superman stepped into the Matrix's heart. Energy washed over him, not painful but profound. He felt his cells respond, felt solar radiation that had empowered him for decades suddenly drain away, felt invulnerability become simple flesh, felt godlike strength become merely human. Felt, for the first time since childhood, vulnerable. "Oh," Clark whispered, his voice suddenly lacking Kryptonian resonance. This is how everyone else lives, every day, this fragility." "Yes," Doom said simply. "Welcome to mortality, Kryptonian. Try not to die during the next 6 minutes." The weapon's second phase activated. Doom positioned himself at the conduit point, armor interfacing with crystalline structures, mystical wards extending to encompass dimensional mathematics, his consciousness becoming the channel through which impossible energies would flow. Pain arrived immediately. Not physical pain, though that was considerable as quantum forces began tearing at Doom's molecular structure, but metaphysical agony. Doom felt himself stretch across dimensions, felt his identity fracture into constituent aspects, felt the boundaries between Victor Von Doom and the cosmic forces he channeled begin to blur. "Status," Batman's voice demanded through comms, transmitted to Doom's armor despite increasing dimensional interference. "Weapon active," Doom gritted out, each word costing exponential effort. "Energy buildup nominal. Superman successfully depowered. Now comes the difficult part." "That wasn't the difficult part." "That was initialization," Doom corrected, his voice distorting as multiple realities began speaking through a single throat. "The difficult part is maintaining the channel while summoning Darkseid into the trap. Batman must provoke Darkseid personally. Make him descend to the weapon's location. Arrogance alone will not suffice. New God must perceive genuine threat. Above, Batman's jaw clenched. Provoking Darkseid meant making himself a target, meant abandoning tactical coordination to become bait, meant trusting others to execute his strategies without him. Trust. Batman's greatest weakness is after preparation. "Alfred," Bruce said quietly into his private comm, "if this goes wrong—" "It won't, sir," Alfred interrupted with that particular tone of absolute certainty that had sustained Bruce through decades of impossible choices. "Because you don't permit wrong outcomes. You simply convert them to acceptable costs. Now go provoke the god." Batman's Batplane accelerated toward Darkseid's position. The Lord of Apocalypse stood atop Lenin's mausoleum, a symbolic choice, standing upon a monument to failed human ideology while preparing to implement his own cosmic tyranny, and watched the battle with patient malevolence. "Darkseid," Batman's voice boomed through the Batplane's speakers, amplified to carry across Moscow. "Your forces fail. Your new gods fall. Your army breaks against Earth's defenders. You came to demonstrate superiority. You've demonstrated only predictable brutality." Those ancient stone eyes turned toward the Batplane. Omega symbols glowed red, the promise of unavoidable death. "The human who dresses as a flying rodent," Darkseid observed. "Batman, a mortal who plans to kill gods. Amusing. You speak of Darkseid's failure while your world burns." "Your world burned first," Batman countered, his Batplane diving directly at Darkseid in a maneuver that violated every self-preservation instinct. "Apocalypse is hellscape of your own design. You've created nothing. Built nothing. Achieved nothing except spreading your failure across universes like a disease." The Omega beams lanced out. Batman dodged, the Batplane's probability-predicting AI calculating trajectory microseconds before firing, but the beams tracked, pursuing with unavoidable precision. One wing vaporized. The Batplane spiraled into a controlled crash, Batman ejecting seconds before impact. He hit Moscow Street in a rolling landing, cape spreading to catch debris, and came up running directly toward Darkseid's position. "You dare approach Darkseid?" The new god's voice carried genuine curiosity beneath the threat. "You possess no powers, no enhancements, only tools and will, yet you challenge God." "I challenge tyrant wearing God's mask," Batman replied, his utility belt already deploying countermeasures. Kryptonite-enhanced explosives that made Darkseid flinch slightly, sonic disruptors calibrated to new god physiology that made stone skin actually crack, and finally, the weapon Constantine had called stupidly dangerous. A shard of true death, fragment from the blackest night that theoretically could kill even Darkseid. Theoretically. Batman drove the shard toward Darkseid's chest. It bit flesh. Impossible, but Batman had planned impossible, and the Lord of Apocalypse actually bled. Not much, barely visible, but gods who bleed are gods who can die. Darkseid's massive hand closed around Batman's throat, lifting him effortlessly. "Impressive, futile, but impressive. You have wounded Darkseid. For this, your death will be slightly less agonizing than planned." "Not trying to kill you," Batman gasped. "Trying to make you chase me." He triggered the teleporter, Doom's technology, integrated into Batman's batsuit through collaboration Batman would never publicly acknowledge, and vanished from Darkseid's grasp, reappearing at the entrance to the underground facility. Darkseid's eyes narrowed. The trap was obvious, blatant, almost insultingly transparent. Batman wanted him to follow underground. Therefore, the logical response was to ignore the obvious bait and continue surface assault. But Batman had wounded him. That shard of true death had actually broken stone skin, and gods who bleed discover pride that transcends logic. "You wish Darkseid to follow." The new god descended from Lenin's mausoleum with terrible grace. "Very well. Darkseid shall descend to witness your final failure personally, and when Batman dies, all hope dies with him." He strode into the facility, a boom tube forming around him to bring elite parademons as escort. Down through the quantum-tunneled shaft, down toward where Doom's weapon waited, down toward the trap that Batman had baited with his own mortality. In the chamber, Doom felt Darkseid's approach through dimensional resonance. Target acquired. Superman, prepare for complete depowerment. 3 minutes, 40 seconds remaining. Clark stood in the Matrix's heart, already feeling his Kryptonian strength reduced to human normal. His hearing, once capable of detecting heartbeats across continents, now struggled to process sounds 30 feet distant. His vision, once penetrating, is now merely human. Speed, once competitive with Flash, is now merely ordinary. "This is how you live," he said to Doom, wonderment mixing with fear. "This is how everyone lives, so fragile, so temporary." "Yes," Doom acknowledged, his voice increasingly distorted as dimensional energies tore through him. "Doom maintains this fragility through discipline and armor. Humanity maintains it through ignorance and denial. You maintain it for 3 minutes, 40 seconds. Then power returns or death claims. Simple mathematics." Darkseid emerged into the chamber, parademons flanking him, Omega symbols glowing in eyes that contained only absolute malice. He stopped when he saw the weapon, crystalline structures pulsing with channeled energy, mystical formulae burning with borrowed divine power, and at the center, Victor Von Doom serving as a living conduit between mortal technology and cosmic forces. "Doom," Darkseid said slowly, "you have built a weapon. Impressive, irrelevant." Darkseid's Omega effect transcends mortal engineering. "Doom's weapon transcends new god arrogance," Victor replied, his voice now definitely multiple voices speaking in harmony, Doom's consciousness fragmenting across dimensions as the strain mounted. "Observe." The weapon's final phase activated. Superman's bioelectric signature channeled through the dimensional matrix, creating a theoretical space between Phantom Zone and Source Wall, an impossible pocket reality that should not exist, but did because Doom's genius had calculated its mathematical possibility. Kryptonian solar energy provided power. Speed force resonance provided dimensional frequency. The emotional spectrum provided willpower necessary to anchor reality. And Doom's consciousness provided the terrible certainty required to make impossibility manifest. The pocket dimension opened like a wound in space. Darkseid felt its pull immediately, gravity that transcended physics, attraction that denied resistance, mathematics that made escape impossible. "Clever," Darkseid admitted, his stone face remaining impassive even as his new god physiology struggled against dimensional anchoring. "But insufficient." Darkseid cannot be contained by mortals. Batman triggered the detonation sequence. Every explosive he'd planted during weeks of preparation, every shaped charge Constantine had imbued with demon-binding magic, every kryptonite-enhanced warhead that should have been war crimes, all of it detonated simultaneously. The chamber collapsed. Not physically. Doom's structural engineering was too sound, but metaphysically. Reality in the chamber fragmented, creating cascading resonance that amplified the weapon's dimensional pull exponentially. Darkseid felt himself slipping, not into the pocket dimension, that was a trap he could resist, but into something worse. The collapsing chamber had created a feedback loop between the weapon's dimensional matrix and Apocalypse's boom tube connection. Darkseid's link to his homeworld was being weaponized against him. "You planned this," Darkseid realized, genuine respect coloring his voice for the first time. "Not just a weapon, entire battlefield." Turned Darkseid's connection to Apocalypse into an anchor pulling him into theoretical prison. "Magnificent, if it works." "It works," Doom gritted out, his armor now cracking under strain as quantum forces literally tore him apart molecule by molecule. "Doom's calculations are never wrong." Superman, human and vulnerable in the Matrix's heart, felt his biology screaming at him to flee, to save himself. But Clark Kent's courage transcended physiology. He remained at the center point, his Kryptonian signature continuing to channel despite absent powers, because math demanded his participation and morality demanded his sacrifice. "Now Kryptonian," Doom commanded, his voice fragmenting into dozens of dimensional echoes. "Speak the binding phrase, Constantine's words, anchor Darkseid, Do it. Clark's lips moved, speaking words in backward speech that Zatanna had taught him, demon-binding grammar that Constantine had provided, divine authority that Wonder Woman's Amazon heritage had blessed. The words tasted like poison and prayer simultaneously. MDNIB, Emosib Nesork I8 La W Ecrios 8 DNA Enozi Matna P8 Newteb. The pocket dimension snapped closed around Darkseid like a cosmic bear trap. The Lord of Apocalypse, Master of Apocalypse, Seeker of Anti-Life Equation, Wielder of Omega Effect, trapped in theoretical space that shouldn't exist, suspended between prison dimension and reality's edge, forever isolated from his forces and his world. His final words echoed through dimensions. Doom, you have earned this victory, but know that victors become tyrants, and tyrants become what they defeat. Then silence. Darkseid was gone. Not dead, gods don't die so easily, but removed, imprisoned, neutralized. The weapon collapsed. Doom's armor shattered as dimensional backlash tore through him. Superman felt solar energy rush back into his cells, Kryptonian biology reasserting itself now that the channeling was complete, and caught Doom as the tyrant fell, armor broken, body failing, consciousness fragmenting. Did it work? Doom whispered, his voice now only a single consciousness, only Victor Von Doom, mortality reasserting itself as protection failed. It worked, Superman confirmed, his restored powers already detecting Darkseid's absence, already feeling Apocalypse's forces above ground faltering as their connection to their master was severed. You did it. You saved Earth. Doom always succeeds, Victor managed. Then and now, Doom dies, quantum dissolution is inevitable, price was always acceptable. No, Clark said firmly. You don't get to die, not after forcing me to be human for 6 minutes. Now you experience being saved by hope instead of saved by calculation. His heat vision, perfectly calibrated, cauterized Doom's wounds. His breath, precisely controlled, cooled overheating tissues. His strength, gentle beyond measure, stabilized fracturing molecular structure. And most importantly, his will, Kryptonian stubbornness that had resurrected him from death before, refused to accept that genius this profound could simply end. Batman descended into the chamber, followed by Wonder Woman and the Justice League. They found Superman cradling Doom's broken form, Kryptonian invulnerability, protecting them both from residual dimensional radiation. Status, Batman demanded. Darkseid neutralized, Superman reported. Doom is critical but stable. The weapon worked. Earth is saved. Wonder Woman knelt beside them, her lasso of truth glowing as she assessed Doom's injuries. He's dying. The quantum dissolution is too advanced. Even with your help, Clark, he has minutes. Then we use those minutes, Superman said simply. Cyborg, connect me to the Fortress of Solitude, the Genesis chamber that created Doomsday clones. It can stabilize cellular degradation. Flash, I need you to vibrate Doom's molecules at healing frequency. Batman, your medical protocols for Lazarus Pit exposure, they might counteract quantum dissolution. You're trying to save a dictator, Batman observed flatly. I'm trying to save someone who just sacrificed himself for Earth, Clark corrected. Dictator or not, he earned that much. For 3 hours, the Justice League worked. Technology and magic, science and hope, are combining in a desperate effort to preserve Victor Von Doom's life. Flash vibrated at quantum frequencies that should have torn his own molecules apart. Cyborg channeled Mother Box healing energy despite Apocalypse systems trying to reject him. Wonder Woman called on Zeus himself to stabilize mortal flesh. Constantine performed a ritual that cost him 3 years of his life to anchor Doom's fragmenting consciousness. And Batman, genius that he was, synthesized an antidote to quantum dissolution using Kryptonian medicine, Apocalypse technology, and Latverian formulas reverse-engineered from Doom's own armor. When Doom's eyes finally opened, organic eyes, armor gone, body wrapped in medical nanites and mystical wards, his first words were characteristic. Doom, lives, obviously, Doom's calculations, accounted for Justice Leagues, sentimental rescue attempts, Probability was 63%. "You're welcome," Superman said dryly. Doom did not request gratitude, Victor replied, but his voice carried something softer than usual arrogance. Merely acknowledgement that Superman's methods proved unexpectedly effective. He paused, struggling to sit up despite objections. "Darkseid, imprisoned in theoretical space between Phantom Zone and Source Wall," Batman confirmed. "His forces scattered, Apocalypse connection severed. You actually did it, Doom. You defeated a god." "Doom defeated Tyrant," Victor corrected. "Gods cannot be defeated, only imprisoned or redirected. Darkseid will return, eventually. Theoretical prisons are temporary by nature, but return requires centuries, perhaps millennia, sufficient time for this universe to prepare properly." Wonder Woman crossed her arms. "And in that time, you've proven yourself a hero, Doom. You could work with us. Join the Justice League. Use your genius for genuine cooperation rather than rule," Doom interrupted. He stood, despite his body screaming protests, and faced the Trinity with that same absolute conviction that had defined him since arrival. Doom's methods remain correct. Doom's governance remains superior. The fact that Doom allied with Justice League temporarily does not erase the fundamental truth. Democracy is inefficient, chaotic, and ultimately inadequate for species requiring protection from cosmic threats. "We just saved Earth together," Superman said, frustration and exhaustion mixing. "Doesn't that prove cooperation works?" "It proves that a temporary alliance between tyrant and heroes achieves results neither could accomplish separately," Doom corrected. "It proves Doom's thesis. Optimal governance combines authoritarian efficiency with democratic idealism. Doom provides efficiency. Superman provides idealism. Together, Earth survives." He gestured at the ruined chamber. "Separately, Earth falls. The equation is elegant." "So what happens now?" Batman asked, his detective's mind already calculating probabilities. "You return to your universe. We send you home through a dimensional portal." Doom was silent for a long moment. His sensors, even without armor, had been cataloging this universe's properties since arrival. The speed force's dimensional potential, the emotional spectrum's power from conviction, the magical framework's chaotic strength. This universe contained knowledge, resources, and possibilities that Marvel's reality lacked. "Doom's return remains complicated," Victor finally said. "The dimensional breach that brought Doom here collapsed. Reconstruction requires resources, time, and technologies Doom has not yet fully mastered in this universe's context." He met Batman's eyes directly. Translation: Doom is stranded, for now. The implications settled over the Justice League like geological weight. Doom wasn't leaving. Doom would remain on Earth with his governance experiments, his superior technology, his absolute conviction that his rules serve the greater good. "We had a deal," Batman said quietly. 3 months of governance, then you leave." "Circumstances have changed," Doom replied. "The deal was predicated on Darkseid honoring the wager. He did not. Therefore, terms are void. Doom renegotiates, Doom remains. Doom continues governance experiments. Justice League provides oversight but does not interfere with territories that have voluntarily accepted Doom's protection. Earth exists in functional détente between heroic democracy and benevolent autocracy." "That's not détente," Wonder Woman said. "That's Cold War." "Cold War implies conflict," Doom corrected. "Doom proposes cold peace, cooperation where goals align, competition where methodologies differ, and mutual respect born from shared victory against Darkseid." He straightened, his body already healing with disturbing speed despite quantum dissolution damage. "Doom saved your universe. Doom nearly died for your people. Doom earned right to remain and prove governance superiority through results rather than exile through prejudice." Superman's jaw clenched. Every instinct screamed to reject Doom's proposal, to force him into custody or back to his own universe. But Clark Kent's conscience whispered an uncomfortable truth. Doom had saved Earth, had sacrificed himself, had proven that sometimes tyranny and heroism could, against all probability, align. "Oversight," Superman said finally. "Real oversight. Justice League monitors your territories, verifies your governance remains benevolent. The moment you cross the line from protection to oppression, the moment Doom crosses that line, Superman may attempt intervention, Doom agreed. And Doom will prevent intervention through superior methodology and demonstrated results. Competition. This universe appears to thrive on such dramatic tensions. This is a terrible idea, Batman muttered. This is the only idea, Doom countered. The alternative is Justice League attempting to imprison or exile Doom by force. Doom estimates a 72% probability of success for the League's attempt. 28% probability Doom escapes, and governance experiments continue anyway, but now without oversight or cooperation. Mathematics favor détente. He's right, Cyborg said reluctantly. I've run the scenarios. Trying to contain Doom creates more problems than managing him through diplomatic channels. Diplomatic channels with a dictator. Flash said, I feel like that's how every dystopia starts. Or how every utopia begins, Doom replied. Perspective determines interpretation. Doom suggests this. Observe Doom's territories for 1 year. Measure results. Compare the quality of life in Doom's governance versus democratic alternatives. Let data determine truth rather than ideology determining bias. Wonder Woman studied Doom with a warrior's assessment and diplomat's caution. And if data proves your governance superior, then perhaps democracy acknowledges its limitations, Doom said simply. Perhaps enlightened autocracy becomes a viable alternative. Perhaps the universe evolves beyond binary thinking about freedom versus security. He paused. And if data proves Doom's governance equivalent or inferior to democracy, then Doom accepts correction and modifies methodology accordingly. Doom is tyrant, not fanatic. Evidence determines Doom's conclusions. The Trinity exchanged glances, entire conversations happening in micro-expressions that decades of partnership had refined to an art form. Finally, Superman spoke. 1 year, oversight, transparent data, and the moment your benevolent autocracy becomes just autocracy, we shut you down, permanently. Acceptable terms, Doom agreed. He extended his hand again, that same gesture of grudging respect from before the battle. Doom looks forward to proving Superman's concerns unfounded. Clark took the hand, shaking it with Kryptonian strength carefully moderated. I look forward to being proven wrong. Really, I hope you actually are the benevolent protector you claim. Hope, Doom repeated, something almost like amusement in his voice. The Kryptonian's perpetual weakness and occasional strength. Very well, Doom accepts Superman's hope, and offers in return Doom's certainty. Together, perhaps they create something unprecedented. As the Justice League departed to coordinate global rebuilding, as Doom began reconstruction of his armor and governance systems, as Earth slowly processed that they'd been saved by cooperation between dictator and heroes, one truth became undeniable. The DC universe had changed, not through invasion or crisis, but through the arrival of one man who refused to accept that heroism and tyranny were mutually exclusive. Victor Von Doom had come to a universe of gods and shadows. He had fought alongside its greatest heroes. He had saved it from cosmic evil. And now he would prove, through results and competence and terrible conviction, that sometimes the line between savior and tyrant was drawn not by methods but by mathematics. Whether that proof would vindicate or condemn him remained to be seen. But in Latverian and Kryptonian and Amazon philosophy alike, one principle held: actions defined character more than intentions. And Doom's actions had saved Earth. Everything else was merely consequences waiting to unfold. 6 months after Darkseid's imprisonment, the data was undeniable and uncomfortable. Doom's territories thrived. Crime remained at zero. Poverty eliminated. Disease cured. Education universal. Citizens reported happiness indexes that made sociologists question their methodologies. Every metric suggested benevolent dictatorship was working. Democratic territories under Justice League protection remained free, chaotic, imperfect, and beloved by their citizens for precisely that imperfection. Crime existed but was fought. Poverty existed but was addressed. Disease existed but was treated. The struggle continued, but it continued freely. Two systems, two philosophies, one planet. Batman stood in the watchtower, watching global displays, and admitted what his detective's mind had concluded weeks ago. He's right and wrong simultaneously. Doom's governance achieves better measurable results, but democracy achieves better unmeasurable results: dignity, agency, self-determination. Can both be true? Superman asked, joining him at the observation window. Apparently, Bruce replied. This universe has always operated on contradictions. Secret identities and public symbols, darkness and hope, gods and humans. Maybe Tyrant Hero is just another paradox this reality accommodates. In Moscow, Victor Von Doom stood atop his fortress, not a Latverian castle but a near-identical reconstruction, and surveyed his territories with satisfaction. The Justice League watched, monitored, judged, but they also acknowledged results. Doom has proven thesis, he said to himself, his new armor gleaming in Russian sunlight. Benevolent tyranny serves humanity better than chaotic freedom. Eventually, even the Trinity will acknowledge this truth. But in his private moments, when armor was removed and Victor Von Doom was merely a man beneath metal, he remembered Superman's words. This is how everyone lives, so fragile, so temporary. He had felt mortality, had nearly died for a universe not his own, had been saved by hope rather than calculation. Perhaps the Kryptonians' methods had merit, perhaps, but admitting that required vulnerability Doom's pride could not yet accommodate. The cold peace continued. Democracy and autocracy coexist in tension that might eventually prove which philosophy served humanity better, or might prove both were necessary. Freedom's chaos and order's protection, balanced in perpetual competition that elevated both. The DC universe had survived Darkseid, had survived Doom, and now would survive the uncertainty of what came next. Because in a universe of gods and shadows, of dark knights and men of steel, of warrior goddesses and brilliant tyrants, survival had always required embracing contradictions rather than resolving them. Hope shone brightest in the darkest night, and sometimes darkness served hope better than light served itself.